Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear brothers and sisters and viewers, friends of Ikra TV, welcome to the second part of today's Real Talk, the program that comes to you day in, day out, hopefully bringing you issues of interest that you find useful in your day-to-day lives. Last week we talked about one of the great ulama who passed away. This week we were supposed to be talking about the political campaign going on in the Conservative Party, the leadership campaign. And I wanted to talk to Naz Shah, who had very kindly agreed to come and join me. I had also invited a member of the Conservative Party to come and join me so we could have a discussion, debate. And we wanted to look at, the outcome, likely outcome of the election campaign and what the impact of that is likely to be. As I said at the beginning of the program, Naz, unfortunately, or fortunately, has had to go to Pakistan following these devastating effects. She flew out this morning, and hopefully she can make a difference in trying to get more aid into the country where it's desperately needed. So I've been talking to my two guests this evening, Tasneem Hassan and Arshad Javed, an old friend of mine. He looks younger and I look older over the last 40 years, to see what has been happening in Pakistan, talk about it. And we've shown you some of the clips, not that we needed to, because you've seen this day in, day out over the last 3 days and 4 days since the flood started. Let me just turn back to my friends who are personally and with other colleagues engaging in raising much needed funds to send to Pakistan to try and help the people over there. As I've said, Al Khair is also doing it as well, and you will see on this channel throughout the day appeals going on, asking for people to contribute and donate towards the Al Khair appeal as well, and all TV channels and all media doing that, including the UK TV channels as well, and all the other charitable organizations. Coming back to you, Arshad Sahab, obviously people can give you the money. That probably is the easy part. But the unfortunate thing is, when you go, and this has happened in all disaster areas, whether it was Haiti or anywhere you go, even in America, the money was there, but the infrastructure was not there to try and deliver the aid to the people who were affected. So how is this issue going to be overcome in Pakistan, in your view?
I think you mentioned, the names of a number of people who are already working on the ground. Not only this disaster, but disasters that have taken place previously. And they do charitable work in the communities anyway. So you several times mentioned the name of Al Khair, which are very prominent in Pakistan. There are other organizations as well who we have personal experience that they do work across Pakistan. With deprived communities, with less well-to-do communities. They work with women, they work with elderly people, they work with homeless people. So these people, they have an infrastructure already in place.
Right.
So when a disaster of this nature takes place, we have been working with some of these organizations, including Al Khair. And the one organization we work with quite closely is Al Khidmat. And our charity in Yorkshire is called Yorkshire Crescent, which has been kind of like, obviously, we don't have the infrastructure or the means to go and deliver it ourselves. So we need to identify people that we have met and we have complete trust in, so that any funds or any other provisions that we secure for them, we are confident that all of that will be delivered to the needy. So in that respect, we've mentioned before that we were organizing a dinner at Majestic this Saturday. Starting at 6 o'clock, we are selling tables and we are inviting people to come and donate on the day as well. We are hoping to have 500 people there, inshallah. And we are trying to make a contribution. Obviously, the extent of the disaster is so big that we can all but make a contribution. And that's what our effort is. And some of the very prominent are like people who've been working in Bradford at the Bradford level. Haji Nazir, Haji Musaddiq, Tahir Nawaz, Asmi Dar. These are like not household names, but people who've been in the community for the last 30, 40 years, have been running businesses, have been working in the community, and they have kind of like developed a kind of like a track record that people trust them because they can come up to them and say, okay,
people of integrity.
Integrity. We gave you this money. What did you do with it? So I think that helps because yes, we have lots of very reputable charities with all kinds of mechanisms, donating money online and digitally and whatever. But I think there's still space for, like a person to person. I know Iqbal Bana, so therefore if I give him the money, I somehow feel more satisfied that he will give it to somebody in Gujarat, in India, or some part of East Africa. So I think we are looking for those people who are interested in kind of like, you know, working with us, and we will then work with the charities that are working on the ground in different parts of Pakistan to, you know, provide a little bit of relief to some of the people that they can reach, inshallah.
I mean, I've had this question asked to me before, because some charities, obviously, if we contribute to them, they take some percentage out of their even from zakat, they take a percentage. And I've had this issue with a number of charities. Can I reassure the viewers that in your case, you know, whether it's zakat, 100% of the zakat money will go to those that are, you know, the true beneficiaries of it?
All the money that we raise or we have raised, we have handed it over to organizations.
Is that including Sadaqah and Lillah and
everything?
Every penny.
Every penny that we've raised, we have handed it over and brought our bank balances to zero.
Right.
Obviously, we work with organizations, whether it's Al Khair, Al Khidmat, or some other organization. They have their infrastructure, and that infrastructure requires, you know, people and resources.
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously, if they are spending some of that money in terms of making sure that that infrastructure is viable and is able to deliver, you know, I don't have any qualms about that, because you know, whatever you say, you know, you can't go and help somebody in a remote part of Pakistan. You know, however, you know, your best wishes. You know, you might think you do it, but you can't do it because it's impossible. So therefore, it's better to work with people who are there. But as far as the money that we will raise, and we have always raised, we have parted with all of it and we have handed it over. We don't take any admin charges. All the people who work in terms of the fundraising event, organizing the event, publicizing the event, you know, attending venues like this, we are just doing it completely voluntarily. It's fi sabilillah. We don't charge any money. And in fact, whenever it is the opportunity to give, we always start by giving ourselves first. You know, we are the first ones to put the thing on the table and say, this is my contribution in addition to my effort that, you know, that I'm going to make, and you know, all the other friends who are part of this group who are going to make. It's not as though we'll collect money from you, but you know, whatever I can contribute, whether I can contribute £1 or whether it's £1,000 or £10,000, I will do that, and then I will
also help.
I will hope that, you know, that will encourage other people.
Now, that's one, and as I said, I'm sure that, you know, in other places like Birmingham and Leicester and other big cities where our Muslim community is, everybody is very generous. But I know for a fact, you know, including Manchester, Bolton, you know, you name it, whichever city or town that Muslim communities live. The Times did a piece a few years ago which showed very clearly, with evidence, that the Muslim community is one of the most generous communities in this country. You know, we raise millions of pounds for all sorts of causes, whether Masjid Banani or, you know, on occasions like this, we are very generous. And, you know, it's something that is of strength in our Muslim community as well. But I just wanted to clarify that, because some people have said to me, so, agar tum kehte ho, we'll give you the money. Maine kaha, theek hai, you know, do you trust them? I said, well, I know people like yourself and Ishtiyaq and others, you know, who I trust very much. I said, no, I've given them that reassurance. I have booked a table, inshallah. I should be, inshallah, there on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
But I have another duty to attend to on Saturday as well, so I'm trying to readjust that. But I mean, as I say, you know, logistics is a nightmare in situations like this.
You're right.
You know, and we don't know that, like I say, the roads are devastated, the bridges are devastated. So, you know, are there other sort of means that you can use to try and get aid to the people at the front end? You know, what happens?
Yeah, well, I have seen, and people, I donated money and they showed me video. They've gone on foot to help people, and I've seen, you know, these trucks leaving Karachi, the, you know, main city, the port city, traveling to the far areas in Sindh, Balochistan, and they're helping. And as you mentioned, some areas, armed forces, in army, they are helping. They are trained. They know how to, you know, access areas beyond reach. So they are working on it. And I would like to say, people, as I mentioned earlier, there are basic needs. You know, they are waiting for things to fulfill their basic needs, like food, clothes, even, you know, sanitary products for women, girls and children, medicines. So their needs are countless. And brother mentioned that 30 million people homeless and waiting for our help. And you may think, oh, our help probably be a drop in ocean, but remember, the same drop can turn into a pearl. So you know, it's the niyyah, and it's your jazba, how you donate and how you feel. And I think that's how we will. In past, we've been through the same level of disasters, and alhamdulillah, you know, to some extent we were able to help. And this time, inshallah, you know, whatever money we raise and will pass, and it's just a drop in ocean, I would say. But
I mean,
hopefully
going forward, okay, I mean, like you said before, Shahzad, that part of the problem is that in a developing country, the infrastructure in the homes and things like that are not as sort of solidly built as, you know, maybe in other more developed countries. But as part of this exercise, not only just raising fund and helping people immediately now, which is urgently needed, as you said, do you think the country will learn from this and try and build future towns and cities and homes, etc., to make sure that, you know, Allah nahi karega, next time something like this happens, that it doesn't sort of cause the devastation or the same scale that it has done this time?
I think it's a very interesting question, and I think it might take us away from, you know, the disaster that we're discussing, and we might kind of like, you know, delve into the political realms, and some of our viewers might not like my views.
No, I'm not asking on a political level.
But in terms of basic planning, which is the political decision of people in power. Unfortunately, what we have learned that over the last 75 years, a lot of these things have not been taken care of. Things are done haphazardly. Things are done haphazardly. There are no controls. There are no kind of like accountability.
No planning laws, is there?
There is no accountability.
There's no planning laws, are there?
There are no.
Are they?
No.
I would like to say one thing.
No, Iqbal,
hang on.
No, the planning laws are there.
Oh, are they?
I was having a discussion with somebody a couple of days ago. I said, look, the traffic light system that we have in this country, you know, like a pole which has a red light, a green light, and an amber light. In Pakistan, we have exactly the same, right? But nobody cares about it. So those lights go red, amber, green, but you just decide as to whether you want to stop or whether you don't want to stop. So the system is there. You know, they have roads, they have markings in the roads, they have like systems like one way, you can't cut across and stuff like that. All the signs are there. But if people choose not to observe those things, and there is no accountability, that if you are not following that particular rule, then you will be answerable, or you will be accountable, or you will have some kind of like a penalty or sanction. Then what happens is that, you know, people build houses wherever they like. You know, if they're only allowed to build a single-story house, they'll build a three-story house, and then the construction, you know, in terms of the materials they use, I don't think there are sufficient checks and balances, particularly in remote areas. You know, like some of the modern buildings that you see in big cities, you know, high-rise towers now, you know, like spreading out in Karachi and Lahore and Islamabad, all the big cities. You know, they may be taking care of certain things, but I have a suspicion that a lot of the stuff that is happening in the rural areas, it is not up to standard. There is no one kind of like, you know, having an oversight, and a lot of the stuff that is done with public money, you know, the infrastructure, you know, your roads, your sewerage system, and your electricity supply and stuff like that. There are kind of like, you know, several reports which say that, you know, more than 50% of the budgets allocated for these events or these provisions are misappropriated.
Well, I mean that's sort of universal to a lot of countries, unfortunately. So, I mean, let's come back to the subject that is at hand. The more important thing is obviously, no matter how much you raise at your event, or, you know, Al Khair raises it, you know, with their campaign, and other charities raise, like you say, it's going to be a drop in the ocean, isn't it? And unless and until people really open up their hearts, dig deep into your pockets and say, look, you know, mere paas 100 paun hai, mujhe 50 main rakhta hu, 50 tumhe de deta hu, because the need is there. And remember this, that those who give money with ikhlas, with a good intention, I have seen this has happened to me, and it's happened to a lot of my friends and families, that Allah always rewards you abundantly afterwards. You may think you're giving something away that you can't afford, but I have personally witnessed this, and I know some of my friends say this to me all the time, that Allah always sort of rewards you multiple times for whatever you can give. The important message today, from what you've heard and from what you've seen, not just in this program but other channels as well, including the Al-Khair channel, which has been running these videos and making this appeal, is that please dig deep and give as much as you can. And coming back to your event, obviously, which is a big event in the Bradford community. I mean, you're going to have people there coming and speaking. Presume they'll be giving some personal testimony about what is happening over there as well, aren't you?
It's the event is taking place in Bradford, but I know already that there are people attending from most parts of West Yorkshire,
right,
and some people coming as far away as Manchester,
right,
because in the business community we have we have a network, and when we invite people are kind of like very positive in response. So we are very hopeful that we'll have people from across West Yorkshire and maybe from Manchester and further afield who will join us, and we'll be able to raise a considerable amount of money, inshallah, and then be able to help as many people as we can. Any listeners who would like to know more about the event, it's taking place at the Majestic wedding venue on Manningham Lane.
It's banqueting.
Majestic Banqueting Hall on Manningham Lane, and it's been organised by Yorkshire Crescent. And our phone numbers, my phone number is 07908613898. If you want to find out more, and there are several other people involved. The people from Bradford, like Haji Musaddiq, Haji Nazir, and then Ishtaq Mir from Leeds, Abid Hussain from Leeds, and several others. I mean, obviously I can't mention everyone's names, that the people who are like helping out. But these are the people that if you know them and you want to find out more about the event, then please get in touch with us. We'll be able to supply you with the tickets, and then come and join us. And if you can't join us on the day, please find a way of donating, whatever you can, to us, so that we can help people in a very desperate situation in Pakistan.
Yeah. Tasneem, what's your message to our viewers? Anything different to that?
Not different. It's just the ticket price is not great. You didn't mention, but I think it's if you book a table for 10. It's I think £10 per person.
No, £20.
Sorry, £200. Sorry, so £200 for a table. So that's it's not.
And all that money will go towards this desperately needed cause.
One thing I would like to say, when we go to eat out for family of 4, we spend £100, and trust me, in Pakistan affected areas, it can feed a family of 4 for a whole month.
For a whole month.
Ration and things. So this is, I think, just keep in mind, little help over there. Obviously, it's a much greater help.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Yeah, it goes a long
way. I'm sure
it'll
go a long way. Whatever you can do. I mean, that is something. I mean, just as children, how much children? Do you know what's happening with kids at the moment? I mean, this must be absolutely traumatized by this event.
I've seen the videos when this girl was pushed and she was crying, and when the person asked why she's crying, she said, all I want is roti. So she said one word, roti, and roti is such a basic thing, and they don't have, and I've seen babies drown, you mentioned earlier, and it's very hard to see, it's very heart-wrenching to see children. And in KPK, there are families with children, they even don't go to school, they don't have basic education there, no schools, and now they don't have a house, they don't have basic things. So it's very tough, a very difficult life for children there.
It is normally very difficult, so this has obviously made it virtually impossible.
I've seen a video where a child was going in the river, and then somebody asked, why, and he said, I'm going there to collect the wood plank, because, in a flowing water river, all the wood and the house drowned. So it is their way of earning or get some money. Say, we would dry the wood, either we sell it or we make our own place. So that's children. It's very hard life for them.
Must be. I mean, it's totally unimaginable. The things, the trauma that the people are going through. I mean, if you just try and picture yourself in that situation. I mean, I don't think I'd be able to cope. Although I consider myself to be a robust person, I'd find it extremely hard to cope with something like that. But I mean, obviously you're doing something in Bradford, and I'm sure the communities are doing in other parts of the country as well. I mean, are you aware of what is happening in other cities like Birmingham and Manchester and things like that? Are there similar events taking place?
I think if I can just mention this, although Bradford is a small city in the scheme of things in England, but we have always punched above our weight.
Oh, definitely.
We've always punched above our weight in England. On a lot of the issues that concern Asian community, that concern the Muslim community, if you look at it historically, people in Bradford and in the surrounding communities have always taken the lead. You can halal food. There's numerous
examples.
Yeah. There's several examples where Bradford, although we are kind of like in the backwaters, we're not the London and Birminghams and Manchesters of this world, but somehow we have always punched above our weight. And I'm hoping that obviously this channel has got an access and a reach to all over UK.
And Europe.
And Europe.
And Pakistan.
And Pakistan. Yeah. So those viewers who are watching us or who are listening to us at this moment in time and are in other cities, if they haven't thought about organizing an event like the one we are doing, then maybe it will encourage them to say that if they're doing it in Bradford, let's try and make an effort to gather some people together, and we can share each other's grief, and at the same time we'll encourage each other, and we will be able to raise funds to help in a desperate situation. So I think in that sense, I'm really hoping that this conversation, whoever is watching, they will obviously, first of all, they'll be encouraged to make dua. Then they'll be able to, we'll encourage them to contribute, not only themselves, but ask their families to contribute. And then if they have access to a network, to go out there and encourage other people and do a small, as big or as small an event as they can, so that, collectively when people come together, it creates a kind of like environment where the people are more encouraged to contribute. And if by that way we can raise a bit more and help a few more people, I think it'll be worth it.
And Jazakallah, I mean, that is really a powerful message that Arshad has just given us. I don't know how to close this, because there's no way I can describe how this devastation has affected the people of Pakistan. You've seen it yourselves on your screens. You've seen young kids, you've seen elderly people screaming and shouting for help, asking people to come out and help them in any way they can. We've seen, and as Sister Tasneema said, people are desperate for food. The basic roti is not available to thousands of millions of people over there. Thousands of people have lost their homes. They've lost everything. They've lost their farms, they've lost their homes, all possessions. People are walking away with nothing but the clothes that they've got on their bodies, and with no possessions whatsoever. They are in desperate need, and we are, mashallah, by Allah's will, we are in a blessed situation. We live in a country where every one of us can make a difference to the people of Pakistan. And as I said earlier, and as Ashrafu President Tasneem said, if you can't give financially, if you can't contribute monetarily, then at least the one thing that each of us can do, and every one of us can do, is make dua. And as I said, and Arshad said, we can all club together. As families, as friends, we can club together. My £5, my neighbour's £5, another neighbour's £5, my brother's, sister's £5 can make £100, and that can make a bigger difference than just giving £5 to one charity or to one moment. So I urge you all, every one of you, please dig deep into your hearts. Look at what has been happening. Look at the suffering that people of Pakistan are going through at this moment in time. And look at your own lives and see how you can affect and make these lives much better than we have at the moment. Inshallah, the time's running out. I hope you found this episode interesting. I hope it makes a difference to you, and I hope you will contribute as much as you can. Inshallah, I'll see you soon. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.